Here's a fantastic exercise that will allow you to drastically expand your melodic language. But instead of learning different patterns, different licks all the time, I'm going to sort of follow up from my video from last week where I actually showed you how to create variations of one single phrase. So I'm going to show you now how I can grab one simple phrase, very easy over a major chord, and I'm going to try to make as many different phrases of it. So I will try to extend it, maybe shorten it. And then of course, once you have flexibility on one key, you can start just picking one more key and try to do the same with the same phrase. Now, don't try to do too many keys or tonalities at the same time or in the same practice sessions because it's just going to be absolutely overwhelming, right? So I'm going to pick G major here for the alto, and I'm going to grab a simple phrase. I'm going to understand how it's built. This could be a phrase you've heard from someone, from a great player, from a great sax player, or just a phrase that you've heard from a song. Honestly, the idea with this is that you can allow yourself to grab little melodic fragments from all the music that you love. It doesn't have to be a solo. It doesn't have to be jazz. It could be anything. I've grabbed licks from, from Rachmaninoff all the way to from pop songs where simply I like a specific lick and I try to integrate it to my playing, and then of course extending it and making different, adding notes, taking out, changing rhythm, etc. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of how I would do that, because you could do this for an entire day and that could be the only thing you work on. And the idea here is to boost creativity and gain technique and melodic language, because the more you do this, the more you will pack yourself with an amazing melodic language that will be very particular to you. If you work on one phrase, if you start, if you memorized 100 licks and then you just try to play them, I was in that position, then you're just going to sound like those licks. But if you grab one of them and start converting it and transforming it, then you do the next, next week you do it with another one. Then all of a sudden you do it on different keys. Little by little, you'll start expanding your language. It's going to be so personal to you. This is how I did mine, and let me show it. So here's a quick phrase. Very simple phrase in G major, really nice. Now, what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to expand it, make it longer, and try to add more notes and see, but it's all going to be based around that phrase. Now, in today's video, I want to be more specific about expanding it. On the video last week, I was more about changing rhythms and things like that, but you can do all sorts of things. Now, this is a very simple one. I'm approaching the third of the chord and then going down to try it is really, really very simple, and then using that fourth as an approach. Now let's expand it and play a little bit with it. Now that's a very easy thing to do, by simply play the same phrase and extend it, play it an octave lower, and all of a sudden I get double as long of a phrase, right? And that's a really great, and of course I'm using more of the range of the horn, which makes it very melodic and very, very useful for a longer phrase. This by itself could be the ending of another phrase, or I could just integrate it as a standalone phrase. Like they become little melodic fragments that become ingrained in your playing, so you can use them anywhere as long as you're around that specific context. So in this case, it's G major, right? Ultimately, you can use it on other things as well. But in G major, so I'm going to think about, if I transpose it, I'm just going to work on the major chords, right? Major or dominant, because you have the major third, basically. That's the concept with this lick. Now, let's see if I can add more notes around it. Maybe a few approach notes just to make it a little longer at the top. See, so now it just adds an extra color, an extra layer. Now you can add more things. For example, you can think about adding at the beginning, adding at the end, right? Initially I added at the end, and then now I added at the beginning. You can add in between. You can always sprinkling some chromatic approaches. Just make sure that your timing, like if you're playing and adding notes, make sure that where it's falling, right? You don't want to be falling on a weird placement on the measure, right? I'm trying to fall, if it's going to be one measure, half a measure, or if I'm adding notes, I'm making sure I understand where my phrase is placed, okay? So I'll make another video about that, because that's a whole different thing as well, all right? So let's add some chromatic approaches at the top. So you see a totally new layer has been added now to the phrase. This chromatic approach just sounds so sparky, so nice, and adds a lot of notes to it. So it adds motion. You know, a lot of these approach notes, they will add an additional motion and crunch to your playing. So that's the same phrase, you see. And now I would, if once I find a little manipulation that I like, for example, that one, I would try to speed it up little by little, because now I'm using it to gain technique as well. So I'm trying to make that clear in my fingers. I don't just finish by doing the phrase, making a variation and then forgetting about it. I actually play it, repeat it. All of a sudden it gets ingrained in my fingers and in my ears. I try to even sing it, you know. And it's, even if you don't sing the proper pitches exactly, just to get the overall idea of the phrase, and the fingerings is really important. So let's keep going. Let's add some notes in the middle. Go back to the original, maybe add a few notes in the middle. So you see a totally different vibe now. Adding notes to the middle now, it just has its own thing now, right? And I would test a lot of these things, and I would test them enough so that a lot of these things could potentially come out on the spot, if that makes sense. So what I'm doing here is not, I want to be clear with this, I'm not doing a memorizing licks process. I'm trying to be creative and boosting my creativity. If anything, this is a creative work so that I get used to transformation. Basically, I grab the melodic language you have and you constantly try to transform it. And I do this all the time. People like Michael Brecker did this so well. That's why he mastered his own language, right? If you do this long enough, you'll gain a capacity for manipulating melodic phrases that you can do this on the spot. That's the idea. That's the idea in improvisation, is to be able to not only have things that back you up, like phrases, patterns, and flexibility and chord fluency, but also to have be able to make quick decisions on the spot, have the technique. You know, if you practice creativity enough like this, it's like speaking. You need to practice. There's many, probably many situations in your life where all of a sudden you're talking and you're speaking sentences that you never spoke before, combining words in different ways, just because you get used to doing it. So now they can show up on the spot. That's the idea here. For me, the key to improvisation, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I'll play around my phrase, okay? I'm gonna add chromatic approach at the beginning, maybe in the middle. I'm gonna add the range, take away, maybe change a little bit the rhythm. Okay, I'm gonna do it now just for like a minute or two so that you can hear me actually how I would practice this. Okay, now you know the concept, you know what I'm doing. Now let's check it out. Hope you enjoyed this video and this was useful. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications. I post videos every month, little tutorials about improvisation, arranging, and just my thoughts as an artist and musician. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to boost your improvisation skills and really take your playing to the next level, I want to invite you to join my Improv Mastery Circle. I left a special link in the description below. This is my exclusive private community where I host my step-by-step roadmap and I do live coaching for my students and give you live feedback on your progress. This is a really great way to take your playing to the next level and not do it alone. I left the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.